Oh, thank heavens. Finally made it out of North Dakota. After about a 7-hour drive of looking at nothing but grass and oil fields. It was a disgusting drive. There is nothing in North Dakota besides Theodore Roosevelt National Park. I spent a lot of my time there, and I got out of there as fast as I could after that. Theodore Roosevelt is split into 3 different sections. You've got the South Unit, you've got the North Unit, and you've got the Elkhorn Ranch. The North Unit and the South Unit aren't connected, geographically. They're connected basically by the Little Missouri River, and that's pretty much about it. They're about an hour's drive apart from each other. And then the Elkhorn Ranch, there's really nothing even there except for a bunch of bricks on the ground. It kind of just represents what was once there, but there's really nothing there anymore. So I don't recommend going to that Elkhorn Ranch. Even the guy there was like, if you want some peace and quiet to see what Theodore Roosevelt had felt, then you might want to go, but there's not even much out there. So even the ranger didn't really recommend that I drive out there, so I didn't bother going to that one. The main reason that I really enjoyed Theodore Roosevelt National Monument was the Maltese Ranch. Seeing how Theodore Roosevelt really once lived. Theodore Roosevelt, had moved to North Dakota after losing his mom and his wife on February 14th, or Valentine's Day. So it's really kind of sad to think about what brought him out to North Dakota. But after spending so much time in North Dakota, he really attributes North Dakota for him becoming president. And so I really admired that. After losing most of his herd due to a giant freeze, that's what made him move back to New York to pursue his political career. And so I really admired, seeing, the Maltese cabin and seeing how Theodore Roosevelt lived. And, there's just tons of wildlife out there. You've got lots of bison. I saw wild turkeys. I saw horses. I saw antelopes. I saw deer. Just lots and lots of diverse wildlife out there. But in reality, it's just the plains. There's really not a whole lot to look at out there. The one thing that I did think was interesting is that the Little Missouri River is one of the rivers that is undammed currently. And so they allow that river to flood, because then that allows more oak trees to grow along the river banks. And that's what allows the oak trees to continue thriving, is, they carry the seedlings on down the river. Once it floods, it washes up on the bays, and you can see more trees coming up and up. So that was pretty interesting. Overall, the thing that I really took away from Theodore Roosevelt National Monument was the amount of bison that were out there. It was just absolutely incredible. I know that Wind Cave has more geographically, per square foot than Theodore Roosevelt does, but I saw way more at Theodore Roosevelt than I did at Wind Cave National Park. So that really got me fascinated. So I listened to I read the Great American Buffalo book by Stephen Ranella, and they're actually called bison. We don't have any buffalo here in North America. The only buffalo that are existing are the Cape buffalo, which is in South Africa, and then you have the water buffalo, which is in Asia. Here in America, we have what's called bison, and that's their scientific name, is bison. And so got really fascinated by his book. It's basically just a book talking about how he was given the tag to go and hunt buffalo up in Alaska. And so he did a ton of research on them, and did hours and hours of research and development, and then hours and hours and hours of hunting and preparing for this hunt as well. So even if you're not a hunter, I highly recommend checking out that book. It's just a great story. Not only that, but he also talks a lot about the Native American side of what that represented to, or what the buffalo represented to the Native Americans. And so I got some fun facts for you about the bison. Male bison, which are called bulls, can weigh up to about 2,000 pounds, while the females weigh they're called cows, they weigh about 1,000 pounds. Baby bison are called red dogs, just because when they come out, their hair is orangish reddish. So I thought that was kind of fascinating. Even though they're huge animals and they're the largest animals that we have here in North America, they can run up to 35 miles an hour. Some claim 40 miles an hour, but most of the time it's about 35 miles an hour. And they can also jump up to 6 feet, which I thought was astounding to think that, you know, getting 2,000 pounds off the ground and launched into the air 6 feet is pretty incredible. So that was pretty interesting. Most wild buffalo only live about 12 to 15 years old, whereas domestic buffalo live to be about 20 to 25 years old. And of the 500,000 bison that we have here in America, only 30,000 of them are actually wild. You know, here in, you know, prehistoric times, we had, you know, bison roaming across all of North America from Mexico up to Canada, and we had millions and millions. And then about the 1800s, they started to die off, and we dropped down into about 1,000 we had about 1,000 bison left in America. And then Theodore Roosevelt came along, launched the Great American Bison Act, Preservation Act, and so that's what really brought back bison to America in great numbers. And so now bison are all thriving throughout all 50 states. And so, you know, it's crazy to think about how we went from 1,000 bison to over about 500,000. So a majority of the bison that exist nowadays are all ranched, you know, for meat, for hunting, you know, game reservations, things like that. They're privately owned. So there's not many wild bison left, but the ones that are left, the ones in Yellowstone, are the only ones that genetically haven't been, or don't share any genes with cows, which I thought was really interesting to think that the only wild bison that we really have are roaming around in Yellowstone, and those have been there since before we were around. So that was pretty interesting. Kind of a gross fact for you. That I heard in the story in the Great American Buffalo book, but really stuck with me, was when kids, close your ears, but when the male bison mounts a female bison and they ejaculate, even though the male bison can weigh up to about 2,000 pounds and the female only weighs about 1,000 pounds, they've got their front legs off the ground, and when the male bison ejaculates, it's enough force to lift their hind legs off of the ground, so all 4 legs of the male bison are off of the ground, resting on the hind quarters of the female cow. Yeah. That's one of those fun facts that just sticks with you for a while. So think about that next time, you know. Just thought you guys would find that interesting as much as I did. So thank heavens I'm out of North Dakota. There's really not much to do there. I asked a lot of the locals at the gas station, what do you guys like to do around town? What is there to do for fun? One of the guys said drinking. I'm like, all right, well, I like drinking, but I can do that at home. He said, well, we also got hunting and fishing. You much of a hunter? And I said, yeah, I love hunting, but I'm not going to just shoot an animal and leave it out here. There's nothing really I could do with the meat here. And then fishing, I can do that anywhere, you know, to be honest. There's nothing really that kind of drew me to North Dakota other than Theodore Roosevelt. So got out of there as quickly as I could and finally made it to Minnesota. So we in the land of 10,000 lakes now. So really looking forward to it and seeing what Minnesota has to bring. I'll keep you guys updated, let you guys know what's going on. Voyageurs National Park is closed, so I won't be able to do that. But just kind of checking out the area. You know, let me know if there's something that you guys think I should do while I'm here. Catch you guys later. Peace.